Hi. So the second T20 international between India and Australia is a rare game that I actually followed. I mean, I don't have television access here in the UK, but I used a YouTube channel called Crick Talks, which gives audio commentary of the game in Hindi, along with a screen showing the latest cricket bus score. I thought it was a rather fascinating experience. And I started watching when Australia were somewhere around the 15th over. Australia needed, I think, 16, 30 or 58 and 29 or something like that. And I thought, okay, India is most likely to win the game. And that's what this particular graph is also telling us that after 15 overs, the game was pretty much in India's favor. I mean, India had this one build up with KL Rahul and then slow down in the middle and then finished strongly with Kohli and Dhoni and then had got a couple of early wickets. So the match was pretty much in India's control. But I think one thing that the model doesn't take care of is that it assumes that the average team plays the average team. So what it didn't take care of is that yet again, like in the game in Vizag over the weekend, India didn't have two death bowlers. So if you look at Indian team selection today, the bowlers we had like Jasprit Bumrah, who's been India's most outstanding bowler. I mean, like even in terms of ODIs, he's probably been India's best bowler in the last 18 years. And then there was Siddharth Kaul, Vijay Shankar, Yuzvendra Chahal, and Krunal Pandya. And if you notice, apart from Bumrah, none of these guys actually bowl well at the death. I mean, Kaul probably has some experience bowling at the death for Sunrisers Hyderabad, but he has never done a particularly good job of it. I think even in the final of the IPL, he had kind of given away many runs and so on. And so, like, even though the graph showed that like India was well ahead, I think with some domain knowledge, which is the identity of the bowlers to come and so on, you knew that Australia were in with a shot. And so you had this one over with by Chahal where like Australia hit 16, and then there was this over by Siddharth Kaul where Australia hit 18. So if you look at the graph, I mean, you might remember the famous no ball on which Maxwell hit a six. That represents this rather massive drop. I mean, at these late stages in the game, I think even one six or one wicket here and there can have a massive impact on the odds, and that's what happened at this point in time. So it was one of those. I mean, Bumrah did his bit. I mean, he bowled an over for 5 runs, which is like outstanding given that it's a 200 place, 200 game, and pretty much brought the game back in India's favor. But then, like, I mean, again, Cole in his last over, I think, I gave away a 406, and so like it was all over. So I think I'm doing this video soon after the game, so like kind of the script hasn't picked up the actual result, though. Like, I mean, if you can see that both the bar graph and the line graph, I mean, show the correct number of runs. Anyway, so looking at the individual performances, I mean, if you there are some games which are described as a one-player game where one player made all the difference. I mean, this is probably the origin of the concept of the man of the match and so on. And this is one game where the man of the match was like as unambiguous as it gets. Glenn Maxwell made 113 in 55 balls, and if you see, he kind of won the match more than once for Australia. So he with a contribution of 128%. I mean, you might remember that like when he came in, like the game was pretty much in India's bag. Australia requiring 170 of 95, and they hadn't had a pretty good start either. And then like you had Peter Hanscom, who in some senses you can say like gave him good accompaniment if you look at it in the musical sense. But then like he batted way too slowly. I mean, like a runner ball is good support in most games, but in a game like this where the asking rate is around 9 or 10 and over, a runner ball is just not good enough. So which means that Maxwell had to bat for the Hanscom's deficiencies as well. And so like he ended up with a whopping 130. And so obviously these the 630 hit of call, and then like the other six that he hit, which on the no ball and all that mattered. So before we close, just a few other insights on the key periods in the game. It's interesting that I mean, one of my friends made an offhand comment on Twitter that Dhawan and Dhoni have switched roles today because the Dhawan, who normally plays well, he made only 14 in 24 and had a massively negative impact. Dhoni, on the other hand, played rather well. He had a 38 in 16 and like he put on a good show with Kohli and so on. So it was a pretty good performance by him. And you can see that, like, I mean, Australia pulled the innings back in the middle overs. This was when both Dhawan and Rahul got out. And then Rishabh Pant came in and he did a pretty poor job. I mean, you can see that, like, he had the negative score and so on. So yeah, it was so it's an interesting game. So there's a new URL. I mean, I'll post it here. It's cricket.bespokedatainsights.com/T20I. That's where you can get the information, and you can analyze pretty much every T20 game, that international game that's been played so far. I think it probably includes the women's games as well. I might have deleted them. I think this only includes the men's games. I mean, there's another URL where you can find the women's games as well. So yeah, so do subscribe, share, and comment on this podcast, and let me know what you think about it. And yeah, please click that button, the bell button, to get instant notifications every time I put on a video. There's a fascinating game going on between England and West Indies in Granada, the third ODI. So I'll cover that tomorrow. So until then, bye.